Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Soulfax. Today we're doing something just a little bit different. Instead of doing tanks, since I was always more of a pilot than a tank driver, excuse me, I wanted to do a aircraft video here just to start off the whole aircrafts thing on my channel. Wow, why am I just can't speak properly today? I'm very sorry. So yeah, this is a simulated battle match on the map Normandy, and I'm flying in the German captured P-47-D, or more famously known as the Hitlerbolt, and I gotta say I really adore this vehicle. And now, before a lot of people comment in either the comments or just give me a dislike on the video, I know some people do not agree with the fact that captured planes are allowed in simulated battles for this reason or that reason, and while I do understand why some people disagree with that and think that captured vehicles have no business doing anything in simulated battles, I still think that it would be kind of stupid to disallow people just because they don't agree with that. I don't know, I don't have a very good argument about this. I just know that I love flying this plane in simulated battles, and I just love this plane overall. So yeah, let's talk just a little bit about the plane, its history, and how it actually came to be before we start talking about this replay. So, to the best of my knowledge, there has been only one P-47-D captured by the Luftwaffe, and it has not seen combat. So yeah, I know this plane shouldn't be in the game. At least it shouldn't be flying with Germany against the USA, especially against USA, because it is kind of weird to see P-47Ds diving down on P-47Ds. I mean, it's an interesting thing. P-47Ds dogfighting each other. Those are the only two airplanes that can actually dogfight each other, and it would be an even contest, because in all honesty, the P-47-D is one of the only airplanes in the game that is a pure and dedicated boom and zoomer. Now, if you don't know what boom and zoom is basically the idea that you always have, first of all, always have the altitude advantage over your opponent. So let's say we're starting on Normandy map, like we are here. You would want to climb to around 5,000, 6,000 meters. When you're up there, you want to look for targets that are not dogfighting other planes, that are not engaged in other planes, because the next thing you're going to do is dive on them. The reason why you don't want to attack planes that are already in the dogfight is because they're going to be moving around very quickly, and you're going to have a hard time shooting them because you're going to be coming down on them at very, very high speeds, especially in this plane because it's so big and so heavy. It can easily develop speed over 800 kilometers an hour. Secondly, when you start diving upon those planes that you see that are either not dogfighting anybody and just going somewhere, or bombers that are on their way to bomb points. Wow, to bomb points, such a great sentence, Luca. You want to dive on them, and you will only have around 1, maybe 2 seconds of window to actually shoot at them. And regardless if you shoot them down or not, you want to just pull your nose up and zoom away from them, converting that speed back into altitude so you can go again for another attack. If this boom and zoom tactic, I would say, is done correctly and with a lot of patience, if you don't just get to altitude and zoom after the first dive on the first opponent you see and then proceed to turn after him if you don't kill him at first, you are actually basically untouchable. I mean, that's the greatest thing about it. It's kind of easy to do. In theory, it's very easy to do. You just need to climb, you just need to dive, and then you just need to climb again. But the thing is, it takes a lot of patience to know who to dive on to recognize it, because one of the big problems is you need to recognize who you're diving on from 5 kilometers away, and you're not going to be able to see if they're an enemy or a friendly. So you just need to hope that if somebody's coming from the enemy side of the map towards your side of the map, that they are actually an enemy fighter and not just a friendly fighter who decided to turn around after not finding anything on that side of the map. But yeah, enough of this theory thing. So we are on Normandy here. I was very sure at this point that that was an enemy fighter, because I mean, BF-109s are good at altitude, but you shouldn't overdo it, and this guy was at like 6 kilometers altitude, and that's really overdoing it. But yeah, at the beginning of this match, I had a plan of going over our friendly bases and flying towards the enemy bomber spawn point, because, well, whilst playing against Americans, one thing you will notice is that they prefer to, well, there is a 50-50 chance that there's always going to be 1 or 2 bombers going straight in a beeline towards your bomb points, especially on maps like this where bombers and fighters get air spawns. So I decided to go down here to see what I can see, and lo and behold, there's of course a B-25, I think, or a B something. So I dive on him, but the thing is I choose a very weird angle, kind of from the side, and I needed to constantly correct my course here, and the first dive on him was not very successful. As you can see, I'm going kind of from the side here, and I was not feeling very comfortable here. And the thing about B-25s is they have a lot of defensive armament, and if you get a very bad shot off, and if you even stay in their 6 for a few seconds too long, as you can see, I've already been damaged, even though I passed him at like 800 kilometers an hour. So yeah, I decided to go up for another shot because that's the thing that you're supposed to do. I don't go up all the way. So there's a thing that you can do. Basically, if you think that your enemy, if you dive on an enemy and it's a fighter, you should always, in every circumstance, even if you see that your enemy is in low energy state, meaning that he is slow at the moment, you should always at least dive upon, at least use 80% of your energy and transfer it in altitude. But if you see it's a bomber, they're in 90% of the time they're not going to even try to follow it. They're just going to try to ignore you and hope that their defensive armament is going to be able to deal with things. So yeah, second dive on him. I'm just trying to get a few shots off to gauge where he is, and this is a bad angle actually. I went on the 6 completely and I just started spamming, and this little pass, that's what actually killed him. I thought that I was going to be dead here for sure. I thought that he was going to kill me because I was at his 6 for a few more seconds than I actually should be, and if he was paying attention he would have been able to kill me. But yeah, I'm smoking. Now that's one of the biggest risks that you run when diving on bombers. Even though you dive at absurdly high speeds at them, the game is made so that the bomber's AI is able to track you and shoot at you regardless of what speed you're going at. Their ability to actually make deflecting shots on you is so amazing, even better than any players that I've ever seen. So at this point I'm damaged and I want to go back to base, but the thing is the base is quite a long ways away, and if there's any single enemy fighter, I'm gonna get killed completely because my control surface has been messed up and I'm not going to be able to fly correctly. Yeah, I skipped a little bit forwards in the replay here because I just don't want to bother you with the whole flying back thing, and I'm going for a dive. Another thing about the P-47-D is it's a very big and very heavy plane, and it's very hard to slow down, and I was having trouble slowing it down here. This is actually one of my first matches with this plane. I was having a lot of trouble slowing it down, flaps down, gears down, everything down, and oh, look at what I do here. Oh, it's just embarrassing. And I fluck it up. Oh my god, I was so embarrassed at this point because there's another P-47-D, another Hitlerbolt going on the runway, and they're like, yeah, oh my god, congratulations dude, and laughing at me, and I'm like, no. But yeah, okay, I managed to actually get a repair here because I have a very good repair skill on this crew. So yeah, I'm back up in the sky, and at this point, because I've dealt the bomber, there's probably one more bomber, but I'm not gonna go through that again. So I got 1 kill under my belt already, and my thought now is let's go over the A point and try to see if I can get some kills over there, because on Normandy map, for whatever reason, the map is structured like that at one point in the match, if the German side of the team, if the German side does not destroy all of the all of the warships that are going from the right side of the map towards the A point, the enemy team is always going to capture A, regardless of what you do. So there's always somebody on A, and I wanted to go to A just to see if I can get a few free kills over there. So yeah, I've talked to a few people about the P-47-D. How do they feel about the P-47-D in comparison to the Focke-Wulf 190? I mean, those two planes are kind of similar. Both fulfill the same role, high altitude interceptors and air superiority fighters, but in the game we all use these planes as pure boom and zoom planes. Now, the big differences between the P-47-D and the Focke-Wulf 190 is, in my opinion, the durability and the size of the plane. P-47-D is just such a huge plane because the turbocharger that it's been built around is so huge. It was built, I mean, this plane was built to operate above 10,000 meters range. So the optimum altitude for this plane is altitude that we never reach in this game, mainly because, well, there is no point. I mean, there's absolutely no point. But yeah, that's besides the fact. The sheer weight and the sheer size of this plane make it very, very durable in comparison to the relatively small and lightweight Focke-Wulf 190s. And this plane will take a lot more beating and still be able to fly than a Focke-Wulf 190. I showed you just a few seconds ago me diving on a B-25. If that was a Focke-Wulf 190, let's say an A5 model, it probably wouldn't have been able to fly back to base, because it does have a lot more armor protection, the the Focke-Wulf 190, but still this plane is so much more bigger and for whatever reason more robust, and it is able to take a lot more shots, that it's not even a contest between those two planes in that regard. The second thing that I think that the P-47-D is better than the Focke-Wulf at is just pure dive performance. Because of the size of this plane, it's very, very heavy, and whilst diving it will reach amazing, and I really mean amazing speeds. I regularly break 800 oh my god, I'm stuttering like crazy, excuse me. I regularly break 800 kilometers an hour in this plane, while in the Focke-Wulf 190 you sometimes don't even need to break 700 to be able to retain your energy level and get back to altitude. But while you're not going so fast as in the P-47-D, that means that some planes might be able to catch you if they're in a dive. I have never been able to catch a P-47-D in a dive, not even with another P-47-D, because they're so freaking fast. No plane in the game at this battle rating should be able to catch a P-47-D in a dive. I've had so many yaks and so many LAs breaking their wings whilst diving on me, and me diving away with a little trick. When you start to dive with a P-47-D, if you know that you have an airplane behind you that has a low speed break point, so a Yak 9s break their wings at, well, they redline at 650 kilometers an hour. If you don't just want to dive straight down, you want to do a spiral dive. If you do a spiral dive, you're going to be able to do a lot more, and there's a big chance that your enemy is actually going to break their wings. But yeah, okay, back to the replay. I'm just rambling today. Oh my god, I'm so rambling. But yeah, okay, so I made my way over to the A point, and I'm just staying up at altitude and trying to see. I'm looking at something constantly here, but I don't know what it is. It might be an enemy airplane, it might be a friendly airplane, but the thing is, this late in the match, there is no knowing where the enemy airplane can be. At the beginning of the match, you can actually gauge who your enemy is just by their positioning and the direction where they're going. If you see an enemy going towards you from the enemy spawn point, if you see a person going towards you from an enemy spawn point, 90% of the time that is an enemy airplane. Again, that's the same BF-109 at the beginning of the match. Again, him with his overdone altitude. BF-109s are good at altitude, but they lose a lot of effectiveness over 6 kilometers. So I don't know what he's doing up there, but yeah. At this point, I'm thinking about going to A and just seeing what I see there, and I think at this point is that I notice a lot of flak coming from A, or it's maybe just a few seconds later. So this late in the match, if you are not at a high altitude in a P-47-D, and if there's not a lot of opponents, you're kind of screwed, because even though the P-47-D is a good plane, it depends on the fact that you're unmolested at altitude. And if any other plane decides to go at altitude of 5 kilometers, you're not going to have a very good time. But yeah, I'm finally at A here. I noticed a lemming train of planes, and a friend called for help in the chat, and I decided to dive on them. So even from an altitude, from the distance, I managed to spot a P-38, and that was one of my intended targets here, because P-38s are very, very, very dangerous fighters, because they perform very good at altitude and have very good climbing performance. But as I was diving down, as you can see, I was going very, very fast here, I couldn't actually get guns on the P-38, so I decided to go for the other plane here, which is a KI, I think, and I think somewhere along here I finally get him. I mean, it was a very lucky shot, because I almost actually crushed into the guy. Because of the speed I was going at, I couldn't hit him. So I go up all the way, and there's not a lot of chance that anybody's going to be able to follow me here, even the P-38. And at this point, there's only a few people left in the match, so I want to end this quickly because I've had a good match. 2 kills in simulator battles is, I wouldn't say it's a lot, but it brings in a lot of silver lines and research points. So I think I've had a good match. So I turned back down, and at this point I could have just dived down all the way to the deck, kept my speed up, and tried to see if I could kill somebody. But the thing is, I didn't want to do that because that would be a bad thing to do and will leave me exposed to some other fighters if there's more fighters than I think there are. So I just keep some of my altitude, keep looking down to see if the enemy is still over there, and trying to make my way again over the place where they're fighting so I can dive on them again. One of the very few things that this plane doesn't do well is actually turn. So if you ever get in a turn fight with a P-47-D, if you're flying against the P-47-D, the best thing that you can do is just turn. But yeah, this is one of the most sweetest kills that I've ever had. A BF-109 managed to make the P-38 stall, and I just fly in, take off his wing, and this felt so freaking awesome. Oh, that felt so freaking awesome. I mean, the poor guy, he probably didn't expect this. He was he was fighting a very good battle, but props to that BF-109 because he managed to very, very nicely stall the P-38 and just presented him to me on a silver platter. At this point, there was only one more airplane in the match, but he managed to actually crash into the ground, and that's basically it. This is GG, game over. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. The P-47-D is definitely a beast of an airplane if flown correctly. But one thing that I need to mention, since the BR compression that has been done a few weeks ago, the P-47-D has gotten a lower battle rating in simulator battle, and I think that is just now it's completely clubbing everything. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. My name has been Soulfax, and until next time, I will see you next time.